What's going on, YouTube? Back at it with another monthly update for Silent Dreams. I will still be using 11 Labs to tell a couple of stories once a month while I shift into reading them myself. It just happens to work out that I'm already pre-recording this at a time when I'm starting to come down with something. As I'm not feeling great, just gonna get right into it. Like and comment if you like this story, and if you like videos like this, maybe think about subscribing. Remember, click the link below if you like to read along onto the video.
This was a pain. He didn't sign up to babysit a brat, unless that brat happened to be family. Then he would consider it. Ruby was a sweetheart. Yang. She inherited a bit of her mother's attitude. She was living proof that, despite nurture, nature would ultimately prevail. It was a little frightening how much he could see his sister in his niece, despite Summer and Ty's job in raising her. Kid's got a hell of a throw on him, Crow muttered, rubbing his chest as he stood on the rooftop, glancing down and observing the kid from a safe distance. He grimaced as he rummaged through the only effects that belonged to the kid that were salvageable, a thigh pouch, and pulled out a kunai. Can't say I'm surprised if he uses this kind of weaponry. Takes a high amount of skill to use and throw well. Glad I didn't give it back to him yet. Still, Crow couldn't help but frown as he watched the kid attempt to interact with the young girl he had just bumped into. He had the weapons and tools to be considered a ninja. But he dressed like that? And who the hell was training the kid? There were a few ninja clans out there, all of them in Mistral. This kid didn't fall in line with how any of them trained their disciples. Most didn't start training until they were his age, if not later. And not one was as competent as this brat. Not many people could elude him. Kid had a pretty good diversion contingency with those clones and his ability to transform. Caught him off guard and made him lose the trail for a short while. Didn't last long. He stuck out like a sore thumb. That was another quirk that didn't sit right with Crow. The ninja clans in Mistral were rumored to be of mystical persuasion, but in reality the tricks they performed were simply their semblances. As a result, people often mistook different clan members for the same person due to their similar attire. It was why there were so many rumors. This kid, however, had several abilities, and he hadn't yet shown everything. Yang's story was backed by the evidence near the cabin that the kid could manipulate his aura and create a daunting attack. How many more tricks did the kid have up his sleeve? And how did he have them? And the biggest question there was, why did the kid only speak in a language no one seemed to know? Hopefully, Bartholomew would get back to him soon. What in the world? Crow's eyes sharpened on the kid. In a moment of dumbfound luck he was not accustomed to, there was a breakthrough. Was the kid communicating with her? With sign language? The mystery continues, Crow muttered in disbelief while running his hand through his hair. The odds of something like this had to be astronomical. Crow imagined that the number of people who knew sign language was relatively small. Only a select group needed to learn sign language. Those who were deaf, mute, or had some relation to someone in the first two categories. She wasn't deaf, and he could eliminate the latter rather simply. If someone weren't deaf or mute, their first option of speech to someone they ran into wouldn't be to resort to sign language. The kid was mute. What were the chances of that? A girl who was mute meeting a kid who only spoke a different language and being able to converse through sign language? Those kinds of odds were comically astronomical. Something someone of his luck should never have been able to witness. That means this gonna end badly, isn't it? Crow snarled, his gaze sharpening on the two as the short girl dragged the kid toward the closest food truck. His luck never failed. When something good happened, something terrible was about to follow. The question was when the other shoe was going to drop. Speak of the devil, Crow winced, feeling his scroll vibrate in his pocket. Tapping his earpiece, Crow grimaced. Talk to me. What do you have? Crow, this is an incredible discovery. Unimaginable. Impossible. Something genuinely amazing. These recordings are earth-shattering. Oobleck rapidly fired on the other end of the line. It took a moment for Crow to process what Bartholomew had even said before sighing. Slow down, Bart. What do you mean? Sorry about him, old friend. He's a little excited. Crow's brow lifted, recognizing the voice as Peter Port's, and from the sound of it, were they driving? Where in the hell were they going? Just tell me what's going on. What's so earth-shattering about this kid? Crow frowned. The language the kid is speaking is a dead language. Oobleck eagerly answered his friend's question. A chill swept over Crow. He shuddered and recoiled. There it was. The other shoe dropped. Well, it doesn't sound very dead to me. Crow repressed the urge to growl. And that is fascinating. There are only a handful, one, no two, maybe three people left in all of Remnant that can speak it. Bartholomew jittered on the other end. If I recall correctly, I believe the language is of direct descent from the people who are suspected to be the progenitors of wielding aura as a weapon. In essence, the people who spoke this language were the first huntsmen. Before they were nearly wiped out from a still-debated extinction event, Port added calmly, it's widely considered that those who survived it were the people who showed humanity that with aura and dust, they could fend off the grim. Oobleck enthusiastically added, You've got to be kidding me. Crow spoke after a period of silence, struggling to comprehend what he was told. How the hell does the kid know a dead language? That is a fantastic question that I don't have an answer to, but one I wish to find. We're on the way to assist you. What's your location? Oobleck snapped his fingers. Great. Crow winced before scowling, noting a set of teenagers dressed like punks approaching the two kids. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one. Something is going down. It had been quite a day. There was so much to do, so little time, and it was never without its hiccups, without opposition. It wouldn't be a day if someone didn't upset her husband with their radical idealism. It was becoming increasingly difficult to stay civil and maintain peace. The extremists were gathering more support by the day. Their horrible actions were becoming celebrated. This wasn't what they wanted. They wanted peace. Peace on both sides and for the terms of an amicable relationship between man and Faunus. And it was working, but the desperate and deplorable actions of Sienna's faction garnered all the media attention, dragging their good names through the mud. They took responsibility for it, not her. Unfortunately, it was another day of damage control, putting out fires that the extremists of the White Fang started. She had grown weary of it, so had her husband. Perhaps it was time for a change? Time to step down. Kali Belladonna glanced over at her husband, lying restlessly on the bed next to her, unable to sleep peacefully. Her expression withered before wrinkling as she hung her head, placing her book down onto her lap. This was not the activism they had signed up for. To lead. They wanted to make a change, but not like this. And yet, could they stop? The White Fang was their creation. It was meant to represent a peaceful solution to the mistreatment of Faunus, to help Faunus get better housing, higher wages, to be looked on as equals. Could they step down and let the minority of extremists turn their creation into a monster? Kylie, is everything all right? Her husband's voice reached her, the concern clear as he rose from the bed, slightly pushing himself up with one arm to meet his wife's gaze. I could ask you the same, Kylie said, her smile thinning as she stared back at her husband, before her expression fell. Gira, are we really doing the right thing? Should we? I just don't know anymore. I thought as much. I have been pondering the same issues, and I have yet to find a satisfactory solution. Every answer I come to leaves me angry at what our cause has turned into. Left me wondering, is this the kind of world I want to raise Blake in? Gira exhaled, slowly pushing up and leaning against the headboard. Kali's expression softened, and with a thin smile, she reached up and gently placed her hand on her husband's bicep. And if we stop, what next? What world would we leave for Blake? For all of Faunus kind? Not a good one, Gira muttered, clenching his fists and repressing a snarl. With a deep breath, a firm resolve settled in his expression, and he stared ahead. This world is still worth fighting for. The White Fang is still good. We just have to reach the others and convince them that peace is the only way forward. Kaylee simply smiled. She found her strength in her husband's resolve. As long as he was willing to keep fighting, she would stand by his side, for as long as it took. Shall I make us some relaxing tea to soothe our nerves? Or is something more required to serve your nerves? Kaylee stretched before twisting her body alluringly as her voice lowered to a more husky tone. A deep growl emanated from Gira as he leaned forward and leaned into his wife. I would watch talking like that. If you remember the last time you used that voice, we had a lovely daughter shortly after. Who says I don't want another? Kaylee whispered, her words laced with a hint of desire. Blake could use a sibling. Oh, who's breaking the tension? Kaylee's annoyance was evident as the mood was broken by the ring of the phone on their nightstand. The reception of the towers didn't reach this far. There was a terminal station with a minor tower that barely had the range to connect with Vale, so they stayed informed and updated to date on the news. However, besides that, they had to use more archaic technology to talk with one another. Hello? May I ask who is calling at this late of an hour? Gira repressed the urge to groan as he answered the phone, almost as if he were demanding an answer. However, a sense of surprise washed over him as he sat up straight. Oh? Professor Port? This is an unusual time for you to call for an expedition into Menagerie. Is something the matter? Kali's agitation faded. Her curiosity piqued, and she tilted her head. It was rare for the professors of Beacon to reach out and call for an expedition, and never this late. Yes, she is here. Can I ask what this is about? Gira looked bewildered and looked over at Kali. Kali was confused as well, asking specifically for her. Her eyes flickered and grew. Did that mean they found something of her father's people? Of her people? A translator, of course! Gira's surprise caused him to jump a smidge, handing the phone to his wife. Kaylee was dumbstruck as she took the phone. A translator? So that meant they found something new? Another scroll? Another document that could lead to a significant discovery? Yes. Kaylee nervously fidgeted as she brought the phone to her ear. How can I help? Ah, yes, Mrs. Belladonna. This is Bartholomew Oobleck, an associate of Peter Port. Sorry for waking you at such an forsaken hour, but this may be the greatest discovery of the century. Oobleck introduced himself with such haste that Kali barely had the time to decipher what he said. The discovery of the century? What did you find? Kali stumbled over her words, taken aback by his rapid pace of speech and the idea that she could help with such a monumental situation. Is not so much what we found as, well, you should listen. I think you'll understand. Oobleck started with an explanation before activating a recording on his scroll. What is this place? Why are there so many cars? And is that car flying? What is going on? Where the fuck am I? It took only a single word for the hair on Kaylee's neck to stand on end. That language, it was her father's, her language. A language only she and her mother could speak since her father's passing. A language she was teaching her daughter to preserve the memory of her father's people before marrying a faunus. She visibly tremored. Her tanned skin paled unnaturally. All she could do was gaze upon her husband and stammer. What? Why? A kid? A young boy. An unidentified boy of unknown origins who has only been observed to speak the language of your people. A boy who, from observations, has been in a state of panic and is finally settling down and allowing us to approach. Port added with a hint of concern. We need someone who can speak to him and calm him down to find out precisely what is going on. Naruto didn't trust this guy. He didn't want to trust him. Didn't know him. He could easily be trying to manipulate him, like that snake guy did to Sasuke. However, Naruto had to admit he didn't know a damn thing about what was going on. He had no leads. He could barely communicate with one person, and that was through his butchered code, which Kakashi attempted to teach him. Oh, his lack of attention bit him in the ass on that one. He swore somewhere. Sakura was screaming his name, and Sasuke was giving him a smug smirk, hidden away from everyone except Naruto to see. The bastard! Naruto shook his head. If this were a trap, he would fight his way out. This was his best opportunity to learn something about where he was and point him in the right direction. So with a distrustful and wary glare, Naruto went along with the girl, heading back to the table. Gah! He couldn't just keep calling her that. He wanted to be able to put names to faces. Stupid language barrier. Scowling and muttering obscenities under his breath, Naruto furrowed his brow and furiously tried to recall Kakashi's lessons. How could he communicate with the girl more effectively despite not knowing much code? He knew the letters and some words. Maybe Naruto gestured toward the girl, catching her attention before pointing at himself. And with a scrunched brow as he recalled the letters, he signed his name by letter before pointing at her. He hoped she understood his vague attempt at communication. She looked at him peculiarly for a moment, tilting her head. The shinobi said something in their tongue, but the girl seemed to ignore him. Naruto sighed, defeated, before he jumped back as the girl pointed to herself, and then spelled Trivia. Trivia? As in a trivia question? What kind of name was that? Naruto shook his head. Plenty of people he had come across had odd names. This wasn't anything new. People probably thought the same thing about him. And if anyone brought up that his name was based on a ramen topping, his stomach rumbled. Damn it. Even mentioning ramen was making him hungry. Naruto grumbled and glowered. He couldn't think straight like this. He needed something in his belly. Anything. Were those noodles? Naruto blinked, staring peculiarly at the truck owner, who pushed out 2 bowls filled to the brim with strange noodles. Some that he had never seen before. It wasn't ramen, but it smelled delicious. Okay, maybe he would cheat on ramen just this once. Again. Naruto grimaced as he accepted the bowl and brought it over to the table they had occupied before. Naruto stared at the bowl with a starving hunger. This wasn't like the time he taste-tested udon noodles. He swore. This was a matter of life and death. Itadakimasu, Naruto happily cried, pulling his chopsticks out of the wrapper and dove in. This was good. It wasn't ramen, but it was pretty close. Nah, that had to be his stomach talking. Ramen was the best there was. Hey, why is everyone looking at me funny? Naruto squinted, grunting with a mouthful of noodles. Trivia was staring at him with wide eyes while the shinobi palmed his face and was muttering something under his breath, holding one of those weird devices people had been to his ear. He said something else to Trivia, who only nodded, still awkwardly glancing at Naruto. What? This is how I normally eat ramen, and these noodles are a close second, Naruto declared, annoyed. He didn't need to know their language to understand what they were saying. No one lectured him on how to eat, except Iruka-sensei. Naruto scrunched his face and mean-mugged the lot of them. He absently noticed Trivia using code again, but he didn't understand a damn thing she said this time. He was only able to catch a single word. Good. Naruto furrowed his brow before his eyes snapped wide open, and he laughed. He nodded and grinned. Yup. Trivia looked ecstatic before awkwardly taking out the chopsticks. However, her brow furrowed in frustration, and she quickly began to grit her teeth as she failed to grasp how to use them. No, like this. Naruto clicked his chopsticks together, showing Trivia how he was holding them before very lightly pinching them and pulling up a group of noodles. See? It was obvious Trivia didn't understand what Naruto was saying. She quickly gathered the gist of it from his physical cues. It took several more attempts, but she kept getting closer each time before she managed to take a bite successfully, and looked so satisfied when she did. Ha! Told you it was good! Naruto laughed, despite knowing what he said would sound like gibberish to Trivia. But how he laughed translated well, and Trivia joined him before they dug into these strange noodles. Whatever they were good. Just not as good as ramen. And as the bottom of his bowl became visible, a cough snapped him out of his euphoria. Oh right, Crow Shinobi. He was just going to call him Crow for now. Crow squinted oddly at him and Trivia before rolling his eyes, saying something in their language, placing the device on the table and pushing it in his direction. Naruto raised his brow, glancing at the object with suspicion. He seriously doubted it was a bomb, especially given the way everyone was talking on theirs. But this place was weird. He couldn't doubt anything right now. They had flying cars. Flying cars. Naruto was brought out of his delirium by Trivia's attempt to use code again. Once more, Naruto barely understood a thing she said. He was reasonably sure she said something about look. But then again, he could have been mistranslating everything she was saying. This almost felt like a joke at this point. Like Kakashi was going to jump out at any moment and give him a lesson on why it was necessary to pay attention. He got it now. He tried to pay more attention to boring lessons, okay. And he felt worse because Trivia palmed her face. She was getting frustrated by his lack of understanding. But it only seemed to light a fire in her as she squinted and furrowed her brow, trying to think of something. That was when she pulled out her strange device and pointed at it. She then brought it to her face and signed "look" as she stared at the shiny side. Trivia wanted him to pick the phone up and look at it. What was that gonna do? Wasn't he supposed to listen? Whatever, Naruto shrugged and followed her vague instructions, lifting the strange device to look at the shiny. Whoa, what the heck? Naruto fumbled with the device before barely snatching it from hitting the table. He lifted it again and stared at what was supposed to be the shiny side to see a woman's face. A woman with big cat ears. A cat lady who was talking to him. Hello? The cat lady asked through the phone, which had a strange, glitchy echo. Despite that word being the first he had understood all day, a sense of dread and panic set in for Naruto. What demonic sorcery was this? Ah, demon cat lady! Naruto screamed, pulling his arm straight back, preparing to pitch the possessed device as far away as he could. He already had to deal with the Nine Tails. He didn't need a demon cat lady in his life. Before he could even muster the strength to move his arm forward, the motion was halted by Crow grasping his wrist firmly. Naruto blinked several times. That was pretty fast. Not Kakashi-sensei fast, but really fast. He didn't even see him move, and Crow easily stopped him, without feeling like he was putting forth all that much effort. Who was this guy? Why was he so cool? Maybe he could learn something neat from him, if he could understand a word he said. I'm not a demon cat lady, the cat lady growled from the demonic device before taking a deep breath and speaking in a calming manner. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Kali Belladonna. I am one of 3 known people who can converse in this tongue. I, along with my colleagues, have several questions we would like to ask. Naruto scrunched his brow, questioning the cat lady, slowly bringing the abyssal device before his face again. Maybe she wasn't. This looked like a movie recording. Perhaps this place had managed to make video recordings into phone calls? That didn't sound too impossible, but now he thought about it. With how rapidly technology was being produced back home, Naruto couldn't rule out that possibility. What do you mean 3 people? Naruto repressed the urge to growl and glared at the demon cat lady known as Kaylee. Lady, I come from an entire village of people who speak like this. Heck, so does everyone else in the neighboring countries. It's the most common language in the world. Most common language? Kaylee sharply responded, her confusion evident on her face before she started speaking in their language again, joined in by 2 other male voices, whom he didn't know. Ma, what's going on? Naruto squinted, looking away from the futuristic phone and at Crow and Trivia. But seeing their dumbfounded expressions while listening to the 3 on the other rapidly talk in a language he didn't understand, Naruto's concern grew. His heart raced. Why did this feel wrong? May I ask what your name is? And where are you from by chance? Kali asked from the television phone. Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm from Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves. Naruto screwed his nose, still not quite trusting anyone here, but willing to trust if it meant he could return home. Naruto's gut wrenched upon seeing Kali's expression visibly pale. She started choking on her saliva before babbling gibberish in a language he didn't understand, before clasping her hand over her face. He bristled at hearing the 2 men on this call begin to address Kaylee. There was even another man's voice echoing behind Kaylee, probably asking if she was okay. Well, they'd better get in line. He wanted to know what was so damn shocking about what he said. Ma, what is wrong with that? You guys have a problem where I'm from, huh? I'll fight you all if that's the case. Naruto aggressively growled, gnarling his face and gnashing his teeth. He didn't care if Crow was cool or that he liked trivia. If they had a problem with his village, with his friends, they had a problem with him. No one wants to fight you. It's just... Kali responded in a panic, her voice raised before her words failed her, and she trailed off. Then why are you so afraid of what I said? Naruto demanded, barely restraining himself as he slammed his fist on the table, with enough force to shake it. He felt a little bad as he startled Trivia, but he wanted answers. Damn it! No, he needed them. Naruto, what you said about you being from Konoha isn't possible. Kali expressed her concern, visibly trembling on the other side of the phone call. And how is that not possible? That is my home. All my friends live there. Naruto all but screamed, ready to snap this device in his hand, and was just able to hold back. He needed answers first. Break things later. Konoha, Kali stammered, stuttering over her words. Meanwhile, her big fluffy ears slowly curled before lying flat on her head, just as she gave them down and away. That was the village where my father's people descended from. A village wiped out long ago by an unknown extinction event.
And that is part 3 of Silent Dreams. Thank you for everyone listening. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. Until next time, peace.